So hello, everybody. Welcome to our second session of Ask Me Anything, FCAD Careers, with our FCAD alumni. So it's a great privilege today to welcome Alex. So what we are trying to do with these sessions, obviously there's been a whole cohort of students, FCAD students, who would graduate into the uncertain times of 2008, 2009, 2010, when the recession hit, and then people were riding out the wave of it. Just to let you know that, things can happen and will happen as we move on and continue with our lives and with our careers. It's not always as we imagine, but there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. And there is also just so much to learn from conversations with people who've gone ahead of us on amazing careers and that have all the tips and advice for you that you can take on board as you carve out your own journey. So let me start with a very quick info of Alex. I don't want to take up too much space because she's got excellent things she wants to talk to you today about, but just so that you know whom Alex is. So she is a senior consultant in Deloitte, Canada's artificial intelligence practice. She specializes in visual analytics, which is a practice that blends data science and design to reveal insights via interactive dashboards, presentations, or white papers. You were actually able to check out an example of her work in the COVID space that was attached to the registration link. So if you clicked on it, you were actually able to see what that really means in real. She likes to think that she tries to use her powers for good, preferring to focus on projects with a social justice bent, such as gender pay equity analysis. Her favorite task is getting other people excited about visual analytics through her role as a facilitator at Deloitte's in-house learning and development center. Also, Alex is the class of 2010 journalism. Thank you so much for joining us today, Alex, and over to you.
Wow, that's a real glowing introduction. Okay, so I got to talk for 10 minutes. So I'm going to start by saying thank you, everybody, for taking time out of your day to listen to what I have to say. I really appreciate that. I know we're all real busy. So I wanted to kind of talk about some of the struggles I had getting on a career path. So I'm a journalism grad 2010. And I remember when I was in university, we had events kind of like this. We had panels with people who worked in the journalism industry. And I would go to them and I would think, this is cool. These are big, shiny adults with big, shiny jobs. And I'd enjoy them and I'd want to be like them. But there was this real disconnect because I really had no idea what kinds of jobs in journalism exists, like real jobs. I didn't know which of them I would be any good at. And I really had no idea what was the path to get from there. I mean, you guys might be too young, but it made me think when I was writing these down. There's an episode of South Park where these gnomes steal underpants and they go, step 1, steal underpants. Step 2, step 3, profit. So I kind of feel like I had step 1 down, degree, graduated, good job. Step 2, step 3, dream job, apparently. And you can see how there'd be some real holes in that logic, right? Like step 1, we have that unlock. Step 2, what are these jobs even? And what does the hustle to get one of those jobs even look like? And what is my dream job? Do I even have a dream job? And can I make money from doing something I like? So after 12 years in the field, I can say I have a lot of experience with, let's say, step 2, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. I guess I'm kind of at step 3. I have a job for a company that I like. I enjoy my job. I'm reasonably good at it. It is not a field I even remotely thought I would be working in. And in doing that, maybe we could focus on being okay with some of that uncertainty. I could give you a few maxims that help me when the path to profit is not immediately clear to you. So when I graduated, I was under no impression that I was a great journalist. I hated contacting sources and I was bad at it. I did not like finding and pitching stories. And I was also really bad at finding opportunities for myself. I worked a minimum wage job all the way through university. I did 1 internship, didn't graduate with a lot of contacts. I knew I was really good at video editing, and I did, for a very brief period, I had some gigs in ad campaigns where I was frequently mistaken for wardrobe and makeup. And I had a few opportunities to PA on music sets, but that ended when I lost 20 walkie-talkies. And then one of those days, I did meet this really, really nice girl who hooked me up with a job editing a music web show called Best Fan. But it was a volunteer job. I would edit videos of like Nelly Furtado, Shawn Mendes. I even had a small team of editors under me at one point. But what this meant is all weekend, every weekend, I would sit in front of my computer and edit and not shower and not eat. And I was doing this for free. And to make money, I would work minimum wage in a coffee shop where my boss would drink red wine and scream at me while I wrote his business proposals for him. So, in summation, exhausted, filthy, broke, failure to launch situation entirely. I felt like totally step 2, dead in the water. And that's when I made one of the best decisions of my career. I signed up to work for an office temp agency. I effectively outsourced decision 2 to somebody else, so I didn't have to do it. And temping is really fun. You get to go into different office environments and kind of see what they're about. It's very low stakes because nobody's going to give you really difficult jobs to achieve in a short period of time. It pays more than minimum. For example, at one posting, I had to sort like bottles of nail polish into different boxes, and another had to keep fridges stocked with pop for hedge fund managers. And if you don't like it, you're out of there in a couple of weeks. So you essentially get to practice being at work. And the last posting that I got was at a real estate brokerage and workplace solutions company called CBRE. I don't really know what real estate brokerage is in practice. I can tell you that workplace solutions is everything that goes into running and maintaining an office building. So like think paying the lease, fixing the lights, renovating stuff. And I was working specifically in a team that works on program management. So what that would do is many little projects grouped into one program so they can be managed similarly as one entity. So for example, installing a particular technology at a bunch of bank branches, or doing similar renovations at a bunch of bank branches. But my job when I started was to create folders and in a really old cloud computing service and drop pictures into them from a USB drive. And I did this all day, every day, and it was really boring, but I did it quickly and accurately. So then I got more responsibility. I started being put in charge of admin tasks like purchase orders, change orders, paying invoices, and I did that quickly and accurately too. So before long, I got my first job offer as a project admin. Yay, first adult job, kind of step 3, it's in sight. Not too bad. So in 2 years of working in that office, I was managing my own small projects. And within 4 years, I was redesigning the administrative project management process in my department. So am I an expert in workplace solutions? Not really, no. I wouldn't say it was a passion of mine. I wouldn't say, I'd be looking for another job in that field anytime soon, but I will tell you the project management skills I learned in this job form the bedrock of my professional career skill set. And I think that what has gotten the bulk of jobs for me since. These are capabilities like the ability to manage a schedule and a budget so everything gets done on time in the right order, the ability to manage risk, so I have backup plans for when things went wrong. I learned how to manage people on my project with kindness and empathy so that when they actually wanted to do things for me. For example, my invoices got paid on time because I would go up to the finance department and bring them brownies. And I learned how to report all of this to my clients so they would have just enough info to know that I had the situation under control. So these core capabilities are actually really useful, in my opinion, for an uncertain career path in any industry, because all industries have projects, and you don't, as I said, you don't need to be an expert. You just need to know enough to communicate with your technical resources. And these skills set you apart from your peers because employers feel like they're getting a 2-for-1. They're getting not only a technical resource, but also a project manager. So they don't have to pay for an independent project manager. And so back to my job at CBRE, obviously managing programs. I think the biggest one I managed was, digital signage installations at 1,200 bank branches. So obviously that generates a lot of financial data. And as I said, project management systems are not really set up for program financials. So we had to hack the system. And we had to hack the system to not only do our accounting, but also to create financial reports. And I'd been doing some herping and derping around in Microsoft Excel. I could whip up a serviceable bar chart. And that's how I caught the attention of the lead business analyst. And he introduced me to a software called Tableau. And Tableau introduced me to visual analytics as a discipline. And it finally happened. Step 3, a job I am good at and a job I enjoy. So visual analytics, for anyone who doesn't know, is the practice of communicating insights from data through visual representation. So at the most complicated, think something like an interactive online dashboard or an infographic. And at the least complicated, think like a pie chart in a presentation. Now, we all know how to put together a pie chart in a presentation. That's not rocket science. But there is an art to figuring out exactly what your client needs to know and finding that data that you actually need and defining the exact collection of insights that they need to do their jobs, and then selecting the best visualizations to portray that information and collecting those visualizations in a cohesive narrative so they can actually use them. And if anyone on this call is from J School, that might sound familiar because it's a lot like creating a newspaper story. We actually call them data stories. So in fact, when I interviewed at other jobs in workplace solutions, they would be very confused as to why somebody with a journalism background would end up in this particular profession. But when I interviewed for my current role, it was one of the things that helped me stand out. They were like, this is fantastic. We're absolutely looking for somebody with storytelling capabilities. Welcome aboard. I never ever thought that I'd be working such a nerdy, arty job, but I'm happy that I'm here and I'm thankful that I was able to kind of have, even though I didn't know the path, I had my heart open to possibility when that path wasn't clear. So before I stop talking, the last thing I wanted to mention is just a couple of things that like have helped guide me when that path is unclear, kind of like compasses. So if somebody reaches out to you and says they want to meet for a coffee chat, they just, on LinkedIn, or you meet somebody and maybe you want to go for a coffee chat, that could be an interview or not. You should always go. Just talk to them and you don't know what's going to happen. And nobody's ever going to press gang you into a job. So don't feel weird. Don't feel like a traitor. Just try it. I mean, try and be cool and not seem desperate and seem excited and enthusiastic. And who knows what that'll take you. The second is like, don't wait for people to teach you things. Just teach yourself and Google it. Just Google it. I have no formal training in any of the technical software that I use. I just had projects that I needed to use them for, so I did it. Just do it. Now I'm the go-to person for those things. And there are times in my career, when I've been most content are when I really believe in the vision of my manager and I can stand behind their actions. And I know that they have my team's best interest, the organization's best interest, my interest at heart. And when that's not true, when you fall out of love with leadership, it really truly can feel like you're stuck in a bad relationship. For example, the last boss before my current boss, I remember visiting him, showing him some visualization work that I'd done that broke the data down into a really low level of granularity, which is totally not best practice for that field. And he told me, oh, I like that. That's how I like getting my data. I don't really like seeing a visual. And it kind of dawned on me like, oh, you don't understand this discipline at all. Bye-bye. Every position that I've left, it was because I fell out of love with leadership, and I have zero regrets for leaving for that reason. So I feel like talking to people, learning new skills, and liking the organization is something that, will behoove you in any field that you might choose to go into. So speaking of not knowing, almost every interview that I've gotten over the years, I've had this question that I wanted to address, which is they always ask you, where do you see yourself in 3 years and 5 years? I hate this question. I absolutely hate it because I legit have no idea. I don't know. I truly don't know. At any point in the progression I've just described, if you had asked me, I would have said, nah, that too. So one time that I was actually honest about that, I didn't get the job. So I told the interviewer I didn't want to limit myself. And I think when you say something like that, what people hear is like unfocused or lacks ambition. So now I have an answer that I deploy that is a bit more in line with what I think they want to hear while still being truthful. And that is that I want to continue to develop my technical skills so that I can be an expert in my field. I see myself in a management position at some point because I love working with people and I think they like working with me and for me. And based on the experience that I've had in project management roles. So I see myself moving forward. And that's it. That's all the wisdom I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex, so much. Thank you, first of all, for keeping it really real, for being genuine and authentic. There's just so much I can relate to with my own journey as well. I'm also a journalism graduate, and here I am sitting talking to you and just sharing so much on your path. Thank you for giving some really great examples of how to handle these questions that I would bet at least 80% of people dislike to the core of their bones, and really just shedding that light on that it's okay not to having things figured out the day you graduate. So I really, really appreciate your honesty and your openness to share, so much truth about your journey that I believe is really, really inspiring, because that's why we have people on the call today. That's why we are inviting alumni to talk to our students, because there's just so many question marks in the air, and it's nice to be able to relate to someone who's gone through this themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm gonna open up the floor to questions. Anyone feel free to either put on your mics and talk to us, or just drop your questions in the chat box and we're gonna take them one by one. So I'm opening the chat box. There's a bunch. So let me scroll all the way up to see question number 1 from Nick. What are the tools you need to use during your daily work life at your current jobs, and how you enter in the analytics field despite you don't have any degree other than journalism? And can you provide your real life experience when you faced interview at CBRE?
Absolutely. That is a threefold question. Okay, that's the first one. I wanted to make sure, Nick, that I addressed all of it. Okay, so the tools I use a tool called Tableau. I don't know if anyone has experience in that, but I use Tableau software, which is a digital visualization software. You can create essentially interactive visualizations. You can host them by trading them from computer to computer. Usually what we do is we upload them to an online server called Tableau Server. I also use Power BI. I'm certified in Power BI, apparently. Our team, we say, is tool agnostic. So we'll learn, like I was saying, we'll learn anything. We'll Google it. Like if your organization uses something that we're not offering, we'll learn it. We'll just figure it out. Let's see, how I entered the analytics field. I taught myself. You just have to, every opportunity that I've gotten is just because I managed to impress somebody. Like my current job I got because the organization came in to look at to take over my role when I was leaving for another company, and they saw my work and they were like, and a year later the same company reached out to offer me a job because he said in the moment, he was like, I'm gonna hire that girl. So just keep doing stuff, showing people, Googling if you don't know how. The only thing that you can do is do a bad job, and usually if you fail fast, you can just pick yourself up again. I would suggest, I'm trying to think of the degrees that other people in my team have. We do have some people with stats backgrounds, maths backgrounds, economics backgrounds, stuff like that. I have toyed with the idea of going back to school to do a master's in visual analytics or maybe economics, so I can understand my business users a bit better. But I don't think, I really truly believe that an education is the foundation. It's not going to stop you if you don't have it. I mean, as long as you're not going into being a doctor or something that you really would need to know. Like, I can't teach myself how to do brain surgery. Let's see. Do you need MS degree, like a master's degree? No, absolutely not. I actually have a joke with a couple of other people, like we're team no masters. I do think, though, that you need something else of value to bring. So to go into the field at the senior consultant level versus like an entry level position, I brought experience to that position, right? I had, you know, a body of work under my belt already. If you were coming straight out of university, I absolutely think that you could get a job. I just think you might have to start a bit lower down and kind of work your way up the totem pole. So I think, Nick P, that is at least around most of the questions that you asked.
There was this one little piece about real life experience when you did the interview at CBRE.
Oh my God, such a long time ago. I didn't have to interview because I got in temping. That's the other reason why temping is really good, because it gets you in the door. You don't have to, like, the work speaks for itself. As long as you can impress the temp agency, you get in there, you do a good job, and you might get offered a job. You don't have to do an interview.
Thanks for the insider tip, Alex. That's great. I'm gonna move to a question from Helen Chen. What's been one of your favorite projects that you've worked on so far?
Oh, good question. I think, okay, my favorite projects are not necessarily the easiest projects. And that's not a brag, it's just because, like, sometimes the thing that you are working on you really believe in, but the effort to produce the thing is crazy. So I would say the project I believe in the most, although, you know, it was hard, it's always painful bringing the thing into the world, creating value, was we did some work. We're doing a lot of work in the pay equity space. I really, as you know, hardcore feminist, I really believe in pay equity issues, and we're shopping that solution around to other companies now. So we really have the opportunity to make an impact. It really heartens me to think that if we're helping organizations identify pay equity gaps through visualization, then maybe, you know, some women there will get paid more, and that really makes me happy.
Thank you. Nick is coming back with another question. Do you work as an independent consultant with Deloitte, and in current position at Big Four, do you work on financial statements, data analytics, or something else? Can you please elaborate?
Okay. I'm not, okay, so technically Deloitte is a firm, and we're called consultants. I'm not independent in the sense that I'm a freelance contractor, but I do like work for clients. Like, there will be a contract with the client and I will go work for them, unless it's an internal project or, you know, we're creating value within Deloitte's organization. And the second part of the question was, oh, do I work on like financial statements? Sorry, could you repeat? I'm so sorry, guys. I've been going since 8 o'clock and I'm tired. Could you repeat the second part of the question? Something about financial statements?
So sorry, in your current position at Big Four, do you work on financial statements, data analytics, or something else?
Okay. So this gives me the opportunity to talk about the makeup of the part of the firm that I work in. So the part of the firm is called Omnia AI. It's a new initiative just in Canada and Chile that focuses on artificial intelligence technologies. So I myself handle the visualization part. That does mean I do a little bit of data engineering work, but we try not to make one. I mean, in some of my old jobs, I had to do everything. That means data transformation, sometimes a little bit of data science, and it's not the best to have somebody whose, you know, specialty is not that, working on that. You end up doing what my boss calls being scrappy, which is, you know, doing your best with the tools you have. Because Deloitte's a big company with lots of money, I actually can have resources to help me with those things. So I would say I know enough about data science, data engineering, financial statements to be able to work with SMEs to ask subject matter experts. So if I have questions on the subject matter area, I can go to them, and I know just enough to be able to tell people in very highly specialized roles like data scientists, data engineers, data architects, what I need, and then they can help me ideate on that. So they create kind of the guts of the thing, and then I create the visualization layer that sits over top of that. I hope that makes sense.
It did to me, so hopefully to Nick as well. Here, Helen is coming back to us with a question. Are there any books or resources you'd recommend for someone looking to learn more about data visualization, both theoretically and on a corporate level?
Yes. So I always, as resources, I always recommend checking out a blog called Makeover Monday. And what they do is every week they post a challenge where they find somewhere online a really bad data visualization. And then they challenge the community to take that data set and make a better visualization. So you get to see the best that's out there. It's usually a fun data set, like it's usually not dry stuff. And you can practice and you can learn from other people. And the guys who run the blog, they dissect their favorites at the end of the week. So, you know, you can really get some tips from the experts. So that would be my first port of call for anybody who's looking to learn about resources. Oh, and learn about visual analytics. And on that note, one of the guys who runs that blog, his name is Andy Cotgreave. And in association with Andy Kriebel, he wrote a book called The Big Book of Dashboards. And I use that book all the time. Like if I don't know what kind of visualization I'd like to do, I grab that book and I flip through and it always gives me ideas. Oh, and here's a web show, and I got interviewed for the web show a couple of weeks ago. I felt like a nerd star. So check that out too, I guess.
Thank you so much for the resources. I think, yeah, people are loving it here. Another question from Simran now. Do you have any tips on creating apt data visuals?
Oh, I do. I teach a whole class on this. I love talking about best practices for data visualization. So I'll try and give you the 30 seconds on that. Form always follows function. What do people actually need to know? Don't go about creating fancy viz just because you can. Like in most cases, you want a bar chart, a donut chart, a scatter plot, or a line chart. And if you deviate from that, you better have good reason, because you better have good reason. I better answer the business question. So my number one tip about data visuals is consider your audience, consider what they need to know, and build to that. Don't just do cool stuff because it's fun. Unless you're doing Makeover Monday, and then do whatever you want.
Thank you, Alex. That's awesome. And we can wrap up with one last question, which is, what are the easy ways to enter in analytics job market? Are there any easy ways?
Easy ways. I can only tell you like the experiences of some of the people I work with. I would definitely say interning. The people I know who were hired right out of school were doing either undergrad degrees or master's degrees in things like math, statistics, economics. Spatial analytics is a big one. I think there's a program at Ryerson, actually, a spatial analytics program. We have a couple of grads from that one. It's interning. I mean, I want to be really honest. I went through resumes for our last program of interns, and there's something like 100 resumes for like one interning position. It's crazy. But if there ever was an easy way, it would be interning, because then again, you don't have to do the interview. You've already got your foot in the door. So that is, if there is an easy way, that's the easiest way I can think of.
Thank you so much, Alex, again, for being honest, for sharing practical advice, for illustrating the steps that people can actually practically take, or at least practice for the time being, and then implement them as when the real situation happens for them, that they have a resource, they have the wisdom that they can implement in the particular moment. So Alex is on LinkedIn. So if anyone has any follow-up questions, you can either send them directly to me or my colleague Veronica Lee, who is hosting this meeting, or I guess you can feel free to reach out to Alex as well if you have anything specific.
Please do. Oh, just to that last point, you're making me think. The people, in terms of easy ways in, most people are nice, and if you find somebody who's doing a job that you're interested in, just ask to have coffee with them. I've surprised myself in terms of how far I'm willing to go when I meet somebody and I like them and I think they're interested in this field. So just reach out to people. Don't be shy. Most people are nice. They will talk to you.
Alex, this is wonderful. Thank you so much. If there was one thing for everyone to do this week or next, is find someone amazing on LinkedIn, connect, and see where it can take you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time today. This session is recorded, so we're gonna send out the link to the recording as well to everyone who's been today on this group, as well to all those who registered and couldn't make it. Once again, thank you so much, Alex. We are wishing you all the best, and hopefully we'll be able to see each other live at some point when we can.
Thanks very much, everybody.
Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.